There are women in this world who carry a presence unlike any other. They walk into a room and something shifts. You may not be able to explain it, but you can feel it. There is an authority, a grace, an anointing that cannot be denied. And today I declare to you, if you are such a woman, you will know. There are signs, undeniable signs, that you are a woman favored by God. Oh, my precious friend, listen to me. This is not about talent or beauty or earthly success. This is about something deeper, something eternal. Favor is not what man gives. It is what heaven bestows. And when the hand of God is upon a woman, no force in hell can stop what he has ordained for her life. Perhaps you have been misunderstood. Perhaps you have been rejected. Perhaps you have walked through seasons where you wondered, Lord, why me? But I tell you today, rejection was protection. The trials were preparation. And if you have ever felt that you don't fit in with the world, it is because you were never meant to. Oh, beloved, hear me now. There is a reason you are watching this message. There is a reason your heart is burning even as I speak. The Spirit of the living God is calling you to recognize His hand upon your life. And as you listen, as you open your heart, something is about to shift in the supernatural. I urge you, stay with me to the very end of this message. Because in these next few moments we will uncover the 6 undeniable signs that mark you as a woman who is chosen, anointed, and favored by God. You will see yourself in these words. You will recognize His hand upon your life, and by the time this message is over, you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt. You are not just an ordinary woman. You are a woman favored by God. Now let us begin. There is something about a woman set apart by God that the world cannot understand. She does not fit the mold of society, nor does she conform to the expectations of those around her. There is a distinctiveness about her, a mark of divine favor that makes her different. From the moment she steps into a room, there is a presence that cannot be ignored. It is not because of her beauty, intelligence, or status, but because of the unseen hand of God upon her life. She has been chosen, called, and anointed for something greater than herself. And even when she does not fully comprehend it, others can sense that she is not like everyone else. This kind of woman is not merely a believer. She is set apart. She carries a mantle of purpose, and heaven itself has orchestrated events in her life to shape her for the calling upon her. From the time she was young, she may have felt different, as if she did not belong. Perhaps she tried to fit in, tried to do what others did, tried to walk the same paths, but somehow there was always something pulling her in another direction. Even in the moments where she attempted to ignore it, God's presence was there, reminding her that she was created for more. There are seasons where this woman may have faced rejection. Doors may have closed, opportunities may have slipped through her fingers, and people may have turned away from her. She may have questioned why it seemed as though she was always set apart, why it felt like she was walking a road that few understood. But what she did not realize at the time was that it was never rejection. It was divine redirection. God was setting her apart for something greater, shielding her from relationships, environments, and influences that would have hindered her from stepping into the fullness of His purpose for her life. What she once perceived as loneliness was in fact God's way of preparing her. There are moments when the favor of God feels like isolation, when others go one way and she is called to go another, when the world says compromise but her spirit cries out, I cannot, when others take shortcuts but she knows in the depths of her soul that she must walk in integrity. There is a cost to being set apart, but the reward is far greater. The woman who is favored by God does not chase after the things of the world. She does not seek validation from men, because she knows her worth is found in the one who created her. She may not always feel qualified, she may not always feel strong, but the favor upon her life is not about her strength. It is about the power of the one who called her. It is not about her ability, but about her obedience. When God calls a woman, He does not look at what she lacks. He looks at what He has already placed inside her. And when she surrenders to His plan, when she stops trying to fit into places that were never meant for her, when she finally embraces the calling that has been tugging at her heart, something shifts. She begins to walk with confidence, not in herself, but in the one who has anointed her. The world may try to understand her, but it never truly will. People may ask, why does she always seem to rise above? Why do things seem to work in her favor even in the midst of trials? What they fail to recognize is that it is not luck, nor is it mere coincidence. It is divine favor. the unseen hand of God orchestrating every step, leading her into places she never thought she could go, opening doors she never even knocked on. It is the undeniable evidence that she is not walking alone. And though the journey is not always easy, she holds on to the promise that he who began a good work in her will be faithful to complete it. Even in the moments of uncertainty, even in the times when she feels inadequate, she knows that she is covered, she is guided, she is chosen. The same God who called her is the same God who will equip her, and no force in hell can stop what he has set in motion. So, when she walks into a room and heads turn, it is not because of anything she has done, it is because of the one who is within her. When people wonder why she carries an unshakable peace, why she seems to move forward even when the odds are against her, it is because she is not walking in her own strength. She is walking in divine favor. She has been set apart, and though the world may never fully understand, heaven recognizes her as a woman called for such a time as this. A woman favored by God does not live a life free from challenges, but what sets her apart is the way she overcomes them. She walks through storms that would break others, yet she emerges stronger, wiser, and more radiant with the presence of God. Her life is not exempt from trials, but there is a supernatural force that fights for her, making a way where there seems to be none. Even in the midst of difficulties, setbacks, and seasons of waiting, she finds doors opening before her, help arriving when she needs it most, and blessings manifesting in ways she could never have orchestrated on her own. There have been moments when she felt like the weight of the world was pressing down on her, when it seemed as though every force of opposition was working against her, yet somehow she made it through. She looks back and wonders how she survived certain seasons, how she overcame things that once seemed impossible, how she kept going when she felt like giving up. And the answer is simple. It was never by her own strength. It was the divine favor of God that carried her, lifted her, and sustained her when everything around her was falling apart. Supernatural favor does not mean the absence of struggle, it means victory in the midst of it. It means that even when the battle is raging, there is an unseen hand working behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail for her good. It means that even when others rise against her, they cannot prevail, for the favor upon her life is not something that man can take away. It is a covering, a shield, a divine hedge of protection that surrounds her wherever she goes. There are those who have tried to undermine her, those who have spoken against her, those who have sought to see her fail. But no weapon formed against her has prospered. Time and time again she has been counted out, overlooked, and underestimated, yet God continues to elevate her. The reason? His favor is not dependent on human approval. What he has ordained, no one can undo. And while some may wonder why things seem to always work out for her, why doors open even when others try to shut them, why she keeps rising no matter what comes against her, the truth is that she walks in a supernatural covering that cannot be explained by earthly standards. She has faced financial hardships and seen unexpected provision come just in time. She has been in situations where there seemed to be no way forward, yet suddenly a path appeared before her. She has experienced betrayals, disappointments, and heartaches, but instead of being broken by them, she has been made stronger. There have been seasons where everything seemed lost, yet she watched as restoration came in ways she never imagined. When others are stuck in despair, she moves forward in faith, because she knows that the favor upon her life is greater than the opposition against her. This is not because she is lucky or because she has it all figured out. It is because she has learned to trust the one who holds her life in his hands. She does not fight battles in her own strength. She places them in the hands of the Almighty and watches as he turns every obstacle into a testimony. She does not need to manipulate circumstances, chase after opportunities, or strive to make things happen. Favor causes things to happen for her. People may try to understand how she continues to thrive despite everything she has been through. They may try to rationalize it, attribute it to coincidence, or look for a logical explanation, but there is none. The favor of God is unexplainable. It is undeniable. It is something that cannot be earned, bought, or taken away. It follows her, goes before her, and surrounds her like a shield. Even when she walks through the fire, she does not come out burned. Even when she walks through deep waters, she does not drown. Even when the enemy comes in like a flood, she is lifted up by a divine strength that cannot be defeated. She has seen prayers answered in ways she never expected. She has experienced doors opening that she did not even knock on. She has been led to places she never dreamed she would go, not by her own planning, but by the hand of God, guiding her every step. And even in the waiting seasons when it feels like nothing is happening, she knows that favor is still working on her behalf. What is meant for her will come at the appointed time, and no delay, no opposition, no earthly force can stop it. When she looks at her life, she knows that it is not by her own doing. She has walked through too much, overcome too much, and seen too many miracles to believe that it is merely by chance. The favor of God is real, and it rests upon her life. It has been with her in the valleys, in the storms, and in the midnight hours when no one else was watching. And as long as she continues to walk in faith, to trust in the one who called her, she knows that this favor will follow her all the days of her life. A woman favored by God carries an unshakable peace that defies all understanding. She is not exempt from hardships, yet she moves through life with a quiet confidence, knowing that she is held in the hands of the Almighty. Storms may rage around her, chaos may swirl in every direction, but within her, there is a stillness that cannot be disturbed. It is not the kind of peace that comes from having everything go right, or from the absence of trouble. It is a supernatural peace that remains, even in the face of uncertainty, loss, and trials. This kind of peace is not something she can manufacture on her own. It is not something that comes from external circumstances or from everything aligning perfectly in her favor. It is a peace that is given to her, one that is not of this world, a peace that only God can provide. When others would break under pressure, when fear and anxiety would consume those around her, she stands firm. Not because she is stronger than others, but because she knows in whom her strength lies. She has learned that her peace is not dependent on the outcome, but on the presence of the one who walks with her. She has walked through situations that should have stolen her joy. She has faced betrayals that should have left her bitter. She has experienced heartbreaks that could have shattered her completely. Yet through it all, she has remained unbroken. Not because she is immune to pain, but because she has surrendered everything, her fears, her worries, her burdens, into the hands of the one who is greater than every storm. She does not allow fear to dictate her life because she knows that fear is a liar, an illusion that seeks to steal her trust in God's promises. Instead of letting worry consume her, she chooses to rest in the truth that she is never alone, never forgotten, never without help. When everything around her seems unstable, she remains steady. When others panic, she remains calm. It is not because she is indifferent or because she does not care, but because she has learned the secret to true peace. She knows that worrying does not change the outcome. She understands that anxiety does not solve problems. So instead of being consumed by fear, she chooses to fix her eyes on the one who holds all things together. She understands that peace is not found in having control, but in surrendering control. People may wonder how she keeps her composure, how she remains joyful when things do not go as planned, how she continues to move forward with faith when others would crumble. They may mistake her peace for ignorance, but she is not unaware of the challenges she faces. She is fully aware. She just knows that her problems are not bigger than her God. She knows that no storm lasts forever, that every trial has an expiration date, and that nothing she faces is beyond God's ability to. She does not waste time dwelling on things she cannot control. She does not let the opinions of others dictate her emotions. She does not allow negativity to take root in her heart. Instead, she protects her peace. She guards her mind and her spirit against anything that threatens to steal her joy. She refuses to engage in unnecessary battles, refuses to be drawn into drama, and refuses to let stress rob her of her divine peace. She has learned that peace is a choice, and she chooses it daily. This does not mean she never feels fear. There are moments when doubt tries to creep in, when worries try to overwhelm her, but in those moments she does not allow them to take root. She prays. She worships. She reminds herself of God's faithfulness. She speaks life over her situation instead of fear. She replaces anxiety with faith, replacing every what if with the truth of God's promises. She has walked through seasons of uncertainty, times when she did not know what the future held, moments when everything seemed to be falling apart. But in those times, she found that God's peace was enough. When doors closed, she trusted that something better was ahead. When plans failed, she believed that God was redirecting her towards something greater. And time again, she has seen how peace kept her from making decisions out of fear, from settling for less, from allowing momentary struggles to dictate the course of her life. She has come to understand that peace is not found in having a perfect life. It is found in knowing that no matter what happens, she is covered, she is cared for, and she is deeply loved by a God who never fails. She does not wait for all her problems to be solved before she rests. She rests in the midst of them, knowing that God is already at work. She does not wait for everything to make sense before she has peace. She has peace even when she does not have all the answers, because she knows the one who does. And so, she walks in peace. She moves forward without fear. She does not waste time worrying about things that are out of her hands. Instead, she keeps her heart fixed on the things that matter, on faith, on love, on the purpose God has placed within her. She understands that her peace is not something the world gave her, and because of that, the world cannot take it away. It is a divine gift, a shield that protects her from the storms of life. And as long as she continues to trust, to believe, to walk in faith, she will never be without it. A woman favored by God carries a faith so deep, so unshakable that nothing in this world can break her spirit. She does not live by what she sees, but by what she knows in her heart. Even when circumstances appear impossible, even when the odds are stacked against her, she believes beyond reason, beyond logic, beyond what others tell her is possible. Her faith is not dependent on what is happening around her. It is rooted in the unchanging nature of God. She knows that His promises are true, that His word does not return void, and that He is faithful even when everything else seems to fail. She has learned that faith is not just about asking, it is about trusting. Trusting when she cannot see the way, trusting when the answer does not come immediately, trusting even when it feels like she has been waiting for far too long. She knows that delay does not mean denial, that God's timing is always perfect, and that His ways are higher than hers. When others grow weary, when they give up because the journey is too difficult, she keeps going, not because she has all the strength within herself, but because she draws her strength from the one who never grows tired. Her faith is not something she switches on and off when it is convenient. It is the foundation of her life. It is what keeps her standing when the storms come. It is what gives her the courage to take steps forward, even when she does not know what lies ahead. She does not need to have all the answers before she moves. She moves because she knows the one who does. She walks by faith and not by sight, knowing that God has already gone before her, that He has already made a way where there seems to be none. People may look at her and wonder how she remains so steadfast. They may question why she continues to believe when things do not seem to be working in her favor. But what they do not see is the foundation she has built. A foundation that was formed in the secret place, in the quiet moments of prayer, in the nights she spent crying out to God when no one else was watching. She has experienced what it means to be at the end of herself, to have nothing left but faith, and in those moments she has seen God move in ways that cannot be explained. She has witnessed miracles, not because of her own strength, but because she dared to believe. She understands that faith is not about feelings. It is not about always being certain or never having doubts. It is about choosing to believe, even when doubt tries to whisper in her ear. It is about standing firm even when fear tries to creep in. She does not let her emotions dictate her faith. She lets her faith dictate her emotions. She does not allow circumstances to shake her belief. She allows her belief to shape her circumstances. When others speak words of fear, she speaks words of faith. When negativity surrounds her, she refuses to let it take root in her heart. She does not dwell on what could go wrong. She focuses on what God has promised will go right. She has trained herself to see beyond the natural, to believe for the impossible, to trust that even in the darkest moments, God is still in control. She knows that He is the God of the impossible, the one who makes a way in the wilderness, the one who brings water from the rock, the one who turns mourning into dancing. She has come to understand that faith is not passive. It is not simply sitting and waiting. It is stepping out, even when the path is uncertain. It is taking action, even when the outcome is unknown. It is believing so deeply that she moves forward, even when everything around her says she should give up. She does not wait for perfect conditions. She moves in obedience, knowing that God blesses those who trust Him enough to step out in faith. Her faith is not just for herself. It is a light to those around her. When others are struggling, when they feel lost, when they do not know what to do, they look at her and see what it means to truly believe. She inspires faith in others not by preaching sermons, but by the way she lives, by the way she trusts, by the way she stands firm when everything else is shaking. She is a living testimony that faith is not just words. It is a way of life. She knows that faith is tested, that there will be moments when everything in her wants to give up, when the enemy will try to shake her, when circumstances will try to break her, but she also knows that faith that is tested is faith that is strengthened. That every trial is an opportunity to trust God more deeply, that every difficulty is a chance to see His power in ways she never has before. She does not run from challenges. She faces them with boldness, knowing that on the other side of every battle is a testimony waiting to be written. She is not afraid of failure because she knows that failure is not final when God is involved. She does not fear setbacks because she understands that every setback is a setup for something greater. She does not let disappointments define her because she serves a God who turns disappointment into destiny. She refuses to let fear stop her from stepping into everything God has called her to be. And so, she walks in faith. She moves forward, not because she has all the answers, but because she trusts the one who does. She does not let fear control her. She does not let doubt dictate her choices. She does not let circumstances weaken her resolve. She is a woman who believes fully, completely, without reservation, and because of that, she is a woman who sees the impossible become possible, a woman who walks in the favor of God, a woman whose life is a testimony to the power of unshakable faith. A woman favored by God walks in divine wisdom, not just human intelligence. She does not rely solely on what she knows, what she has learned, or what others have told her. Instead, she seeks wisdom from above, wisdom that comes directly from God. She understands that true wisdom is not found in books, in opinions, or even in experience alone, but in the presence of God. She does not make decisions based purely on logic or emotion. She discerns, she waits for direction, she seeks understanding beyond what is seen, and because of this she does not make hasty choices that lead to regret. She does not walk blindly into situations that will harm her future. She walks in the kind of wisdom that protects her, that guides her, that aligns her with the plans God has already set in motion for her life. She knows that wisdom is not about knowing everything, but about knowing where to turn when she does not have the answers. And she turns to God first. She does not rush into things without seeking Him. She prays before she moves. She listens before she speaks. She waits before she acts. She understands that one moment of divine wisdom can prevent a lifetime of unnecessary struggle. When others are quick to react, she remains still, waiting to hear that small, still voice directing her path. She trusts that God will give her the insight she needs at the right time. And because of this, she does not live in confusion. She is not constantly second-guessing herself. She walks in confidence, knowing that her steps are ordered by the Lord. Her wisdom is evident in the way she speaks. She does not waste her words on gossip, on negativity, on meaningless chatter that does not bring life. She understands the power of her words, and she chooses to speak life instead of death, faith instead of fear, encouragement instead of criticism. She does not allow her mouth to become a weapon used against others. She uses it to uplift, to edify, to inspire. People seek her counsel not because she always tells them what they want to hear, but because she speaks with grace, with truth, with clarity. She does not let her emotions control her tongue. She knows that wisdom is seen not just in what she says, but in what she chooses not to say. She carries herself with grace and discernment. She is not easily deceived, not easily led astray by empty promises or temporary pleasures. She has learned to recognize what is of God and what is not. She is not swayed by flattery, by appearances, by things that shine on the surface but hold no real value. She has insight beyond what the eyes can see. She does not make choices based on the temporary. She chooses based on eternity. She does not let culture dictate her values, does not let the opinions of others determine her worth. She knows who she is, and she knows whose she is. When faced with challenges, she does not panic. She does not react out of fear. She seeks wisdom, and wisdom gives her peace. She knows that God will guide her, that He will give her the understanding she needs to navigate even the most difficult situations. She does not depend on her own ability. She depends on His. She does not lean on her own understanding. She trusts in His perfect knowledge. And because of that, she makes decisions that lead to life, to blessing, to favor. She values correction because she knows that wisdom is not just about knowing what is right, but being willing to change when she is wrong. She does not resist discipline, does not reject guidance. She understands that wisdom grows in humility, that those who are truly wise are those who are willing to learn. She does not pretend to have all the answers. Instead, she remains teachable, knowing that God is always shaping her, molding her, refining her into the woman He has called her to be. She is not defensive when corrected, not prideful when given instruction. She embraces the process, knowing that every lesson learned is another step toward becoming all that God created her to be. She does not rely on past wisdom alone. She continually seeks fresh revelation. She understands that yesterday's wisdom may not be enough for today's challenges. She stays in God's presence, stays in His Word, stays in prayer. She does not assume she has everything figured out. She remains dependent on God's leading every single day. And because of this, she is never stagnant. She continues to grow, to flourish, to walk in greater levels of wisdom and favor. People are drawn to her not just because of her intelligence, but because of the peace she carries. She is not easily shaken, not easily thrown off course. She exudes a confidence that is not rooted in arrogance, but in trust. She knows that God is in control, that He has gone before her, that He is orchestrating everything for her good. This wisdom gives her rest. It allows her to walk without fear, to face the unknown with courage, to step into new seasons without hesitation. She is strategic with her time, with her energy, with her relationships. She does not waste her efforts on things that do not align with her purpose. She does not engage in meaningless pursuits. She invests in what matters. She pours herself into what has eternal value. She knows that a wise woman does not just live for today, she builds for the future. She leaves a legacy of wisdom for those who come after her. She raises up others, speaks into their lives, helps them see what they cannot yet see in themselves. She understands that true wisdom is not just about personal gain, but about serving others, about lifting them higher, about guiding them toward the truth. She is favored because she seeks wisdom above all else. She does not chase after riches, after recognition, after worldly success. She chases after God. And because she has chosen wisdom, favor follows her. Doors open that she did not have to push. Opportunities come that she did not have to strive for. Blessings flow in ways she never expected. Not because she chased after them, but because she sought wisdom. And wisdom led her to them. She understands that favor is not found in seeking what the world calls success, but in seeking first the kingdom of God. And because she walks in divine wisdom, she walks in divine favor. A woman favored by God carries a deep and unshakable faith, a faith that does not waver in the face of adversity, a faith that does not crumble when the storms of life rage around her. She does not simply believe when everything is going well, she believes even when everything seems to be falling apart. Her faith is not dependent on circumstances, not built on temporary blessings, not rooted in what she can see with her natural eyes. Her faith is anchored in something greater, something eternal. She trusts in God's promises, even when they have not yet come to pass. She stands firm, knowing that His word never fails, that His timing is perfect, that His plans for her life are far greater than anything she could imagine. She does not allow fear to rule her decisions. Fear may try to whisper doubts in her ear, may try to shake her confidence, may try to make her question whether God is really with her, but she refuses to listen. She stands on the truth, the unshakable foundation of God's word. She knows that fear is the enemy of faith, that fear seeks to rob her of the very favor God has placed upon her life. And so, she chooses faith. She chooses to believe even when the world tells her it is impossible. She chooses to trust even when she does not understand how everything will come together. She knows that the same God who parted the Red Sea, who raised the dead, who healed the sick, is the same God who is working in her life. She does not walk by sight but by faith. She does not let temporary setbacks make her doubt eternal promises. When she faces trials, she does not question whether God has abandoned her. She clings even tighter to Him. She understands that every test is an opportunity for her faith to grow, that every challenge is an opportunity to see God's power at work in her life. She does not break under pressure, does not retreat in fear, does not complain when things do not go as planned. Instead, she lifts her hands in praise, knowing that her faith is being strengthened, that her endurance is being built, that her testimony is being written. She speaks the language of faith. She does not allow negativity to take root in her mind or her speech. She does not declare defeat over her life, does not confess failure, does not dwell on what is missing. She speaks life. She speaks victory. She speaks breakthrough. She understands that faith is not just something she holds in her heart. It is something she must declare with her mouth. She speaks the promises of God over her situation. Even when it seems hopeless, she calls things that are not as though they were. She does not just hope. She believes with certainty that God is moving, even when she cannot yet see it. Her faith fuels her perseverance. She does not give up easily. She does not quit when things get difficult. She presses forward, knowing that God is with her every step of the way. She understands that delays are not denials, that waiting is not wasted time, that what God has spoken will come to pass in the right season. She does not let impatience rob her of her blessing. She waits with expectation, knowing that when God moves, he moves in power, in abundance, in ways beyond human understanding. She draws her strength from faith. She does not rely on her own ability, does not depend on her own wisdom, does not trust in her own plans. She trusts in God alone. She knows that without faith it is impossible to please him, and so she cultivates her faith daily. She spends time in his presence, fills her mind with his word, surrounds herself with people who strengthen her faith rather than weaken it. She refuses to be influenced by doubt, by negativity, by voices that tell her to settle for less than what God has promised. She guards her faith like a precious treasure, knowing that it is the key to walking in the fullness of God's favor. She understands that faith is not just believing for blessings, but believing in the character of God. She does not follow him only for what he can give her, but for who he is. Her faith is not shaken by unanswered prayers, by seasons of waiting, by trials that test her endurance. She knows that God is good, that he is faithful, that he is always working for her good. She does not need to see the full picture to trust him. She does not need all the answers to have peace. She rests in the knowledge that he is sovereign, that his ways are higher, that he is always in control. Her faith inspires those around her. People see the way she trusts in God, the way she stands firm in the face of uncertainty, the way she walks with confidence knowing that her life is in his hands. Her faith is a testimony, a light that shines in the darkness, a beacon that draws others closer to God. She does not just talk about faith, she lives it, she embodies it, she breathes it. And because of this, her life is a reflection of God's glory. She is favored because she believes, because she trusts, because she refuses to be moved by anything other than the voice of God. Her faith makes a way where there is no way. Her faith opens doors that no man can shut. Her faith releases the supernatural into her life. She walks in miracles, in provision, in divine alignment, not because she is lucky, not because she is special, but because she dares to believe when others doubt. She dares to step out when others shrink back. She dares to hold on when others let go. Her faith is not perfect, but it is persistent. She has moments of weakness, moments of uncertainty, moments when the enemy tries to make her question whether she is truly favored. But even in those moments, she chooses to believe. Even when she does not feel strong, she declares that God is strong within her. Even when she does not see the answer, she trusts that it is coming. And because of this unwavering faith, she experiences the fullness of God's favor in her life. She does not need proof to believe. She believes because she knows her God. She does not demand signs before she steps out. She steps out in obedience, knowing that God is faithful to fulfill his word. She does not rely on emotions to sustain her faith. She builds her faith on truth, on the unchanging, immovable word of God. And because she walks by faith, she walks in victory. She walks in favor. She walks in the supernatural grace that only comes to those who truly trust in him.